us notice what we pretend isn't there. Mine would sit beneath the same corner of the ceiling, eyes fixed, unblinking. I tried to ignore it until the night curiosity won, and I followed its gaze. Nights in this apartment are long. The building creaks like it remembers every tenant who's ever lived here. The radiator clicks in patterns that almost sound deliberate. And sometimes when I can't sleep, I count those clicks the way other people count sheep. I never minded the stillness. It made the world outside feel far away. Sirens muted, footsteps swallowed, the city reduced to a faint pulse. Inside, it was just me, the hum of old wiring, and the cat. She was never affectionate, not the way people hope their pets will be. She kept her distance, moving with a strange precision. Always quiet, always composed. At first, I thought that calm was comforting, until I realized it wasn't really calm. It was waiting. I noticed she rarely blinked when she sat beneath the ceiling. It wasn't idle curiosity. Her gaze carried weight, like she was listening to something I couldn't hear. I'd walk into the kitchen and return to find her in the exact same position, eyes fixed, body perfectly still, as if time had not touched her. And it made me wonder if she could see something I couldn't. Did that mean it was always there? It was past midnight when I first heard it. A low rumble, not from the pipes or the street outside, but from the cat. She was crouched in the hallway, body rigid, fur slightly raised. Her eyes didn't waver, locked on the ceiling above the doorway. I had never heard her growl before. She wasn't that kind of cat. But the sound wasn't fleeting. It deepened, steady, as though she was warning something. Not me, but it. I followed her stare, half expecting to see a shadow, a crack, something tangible. There was nothing, only the pale surface of plaster, uneven from years of repairs. Yet the longer I stood beneath it, the more I felt exposed, like being on a stage, with someone unseen just above, leaning over the edge, watching. The growl broke into a sharp hiss, claws scraping at the floor as if she was holding ground. And that's when it struck me. She wasn't trying to scare it away. She was trying to keep it from coming closer. The sound in the house began to change. It wasn't sudden, more like a slow detuning of familiar notes. The hum of the refrigerator dipped, low and unstable. The clock on the wall ticked unevenly, second by second stretching just a little too long. The cat didn't move. She remained in the hallway, back arched, claws tapping against the wood like nervous fingers. Every so often, her growl broke into a strangled yowl, sharp enough to echo. I told myself to step away, to shut the door and ignore it. But the longer I lingered, the stranger the air felt. It pressed down heavy, as though the ceiling wasn't just above me. It was lowering, inch by inch, the whole house breathing with it. And then, faint, almost inaudible. A sound seeped through the plaster. Not scratching, not footsteps. Something far more delicate. Whispers. The kind you'd expect when leaning too close to a confessional, or standing just outside a door someone forgot to close. But the voices weren't layered like conversation. It was only one. And it was reciting something I knew. My name. Over and over. The cat lunged suddenly, batting at the air just under the ceiling. Her hiss rattled quiet like breaking glass. And in that moment, I understood. If she stopped, if she backed away, if she let silence take her place, The voice might not stay behind the ceiling anymore. At first, I thought I misheard, but the longer I stood there, the more the whisper sharpened, threading through the ceiling, as though the wood itself had become a mouth. It wasn't a stranger's voice. It wasn't even distorted. It was mine. The same cadence. The same hesitation at the end of my name, like I always did when speaking to myself in the mirror, testing how it sounded aloud. My cat lashed at the plaster again, tail puffed, ears flat, her body rigid with terror. I wanted to pull her away, but my legs stayed rooted, because the voice, my voice, had shifted. It wasn't just saying my name anymore. It was asking questions. Why aren't you looking? Why do you keep pretending you don't know? Why are you afraid of yourself? Every syllable lined up with the way I spoke, like a recording played at the exact same pitch, but with none of the warmth of breath. Just a hollow reflection of me. The ceiling seemed thinner with each word. I could almost see it ripple, like fabric stretched too tight. And I realized whatever was whispering wasn't locked above. It was pressing closer, waiting for me to answer. The cat suddenly turned toward me, her eyes wide, glowing in the dim light. She hissed, not at the ceiling this time, but at me, as if I had already started to echo what was up there. I told myself not to answer, not even a whisper. But silence is a fragile thing. When something that sounds like you keeps asking, silence starts to crack. The ceiling pulsed with each syllable, like a second heartbeat above mine. My cat had retreated into the corner, still watching, trembling but unwilling to leave. Her throat rumbled, a warning I could feel in my bones. "Say it," the voice urged. "Say you see me." I pressed my palms against my ears, but it didn't matter. The sound wasn't traveling through air anymore. It was inside me, threaded through nerves, humming in my teeth. My own voice, hollow, patient, circling. For a moment I thought I answered. My lips moved. No sound came. But the ceiling whispered back as though I had. The plaster bulged downward, a faint impression, shaped uncannily like a face. My face. It smiled, a slow curving that mirrored the nervous way I smiled in photographs. My cat shrieked, a broken sound, and bolted out the door before I could stop her. The slam of her escape jolted me, but it didn't break the moment. If anything, the air grew tighter, more expectant, like the house itself was holding its breath. "Now you're alone," the voice inside the ceiling said. "But you don't have to be." My knees gave out. I sank to the floor, still staring upward, my body shaking, not just from fear, but from an ache, an unbearable pull. Like gravity had shifted and was no longer dragging me down, but up, toward it. And somewhere in the blur between thought and compulsion, I realized I was no longer afraid of the ceiling. I was afraid of how much I wanted to look. I don't remember standing. I don't remember deciding. Only the slow tilt of my head, my neck pulling upward, as if strings had been fastened to it in secret. The ceiling seemed lower now, so close I swore I could reach it. The impression in the plaster, my own face, was smiling wider, stretching beyond human. Its lips didn't move, but I heard the words anyway. "You see me." The last thing I felt was relief. Not terror, not resistance, just relief, like I had finally answered a question I'd been running from all my life. When the light bulb above flickered and went out, the room folded into silence. My cat never came back. My house is still locked from the inside. And if you're listening to this, I have only one warning. When your cat stares at the ceiling, never look up. Because if you do, you won't look away again.